Hi there. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
My name is Lara Stolman, and I'm a filmmaker from New York, as you heard. So, Roger Ebert, the late, great American movie critic, famously said that movies are like a machine that generates empathy. Empathy is a very important concept if you want to make documentary films. Empathy, it's the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Movies are like empathy machines. This is how documentary film can be so impactful. If an audience can empathize with a protagonist, with a character's struggle, their hearts and minds can be changed, and audiences can be moved to a call to action.
There have been countless documentaries that have had real-world impact. And
I'm going to show you just a few. I mean, there are so many, but here are just a few. Blackfish. The movie basically shut down SeaWorld's killer whale program. Super Size Me ended supersized portions at McDonald's. And The Thin Blue Line helped to exonerate a man convicted of murder. He was on death row. So I believe that the reason why all of these films were so impactful is because they featured characters that the audience could empathize with. When I made my first film, Swim Team, I wanted it to be an empathy machine. I wanted it to raise awareness about the struggles of families raising children with autism. And I wanted it to change people's minds about what individuals with autism and developmental disabilities were capable of. But there is no handbook for making a movie
that serves as an empathy machine.
They say that you should write what you know. Well, I have learned that you should film what you know. I was a professional news and television producer. I worked for NBC and a number of other networks, and I was a good employee. I did what I was told, but I never told my story. And I didn't know that I had a story, actually, until I had a son that was diagnosed with autism in 2008. After that, everything really changed. I became accustomed to being told no. No, my son can't be in the regular class. No, my son can't participate in extracurricular activities. No, my son's not going to college. Now, my son, he eloped. He ran away in dangerous
situations, like it happened in a parking lot, and it happened at the airport.
And we had a pool in our backyard, and not everyone knows this, but drowning is actually the leading cause of death for children with autism. So my husband and I really wanted our child to swim as soon as possible. And while searching for swimming lessons for my son, I met Coach Mike and his wife, Maria, and they were the parents of a son with autism. He was 17 years old at the time, and they were starting their own swim team, their own Special Olympics swim team. They were recruiting kids with autism for an all-autism team. And Coach Mike told me, this team is going to dominate the competition. No one speaks that way about children with autism. No one had spoken to me that way about my child. I wanted Coach Mike to be my coach. He had such high expectations.
And I had been coming from such a low expectations environment.
After hearing no from all these experts and teachers, Coach Mike was saying yes. And his positivity was infectious. What he had, his hopes for the team were very high. and I was super impressed by how well his son swam. So within basically 24 hours of meeting Coach Mike, I realized if he could inspire me so much, we can inspire other people together. And I need to make a film about what's about to unfold here with this swim team. So I say that I need to make a film because I realize now that making an independent film is probably one of the hardest things that you can do. So if you want to do it, you have to need to do it. And I indeed needed to do it. So now I'm going to show you the trailer for my film, Swim Team.
Guys, give the best that you got. Who's with me? Hammer hands! Hammer hands! Some kids, they stare at me, who's this fast kid?
The front stroke may be a little bit tough, but the breaststroke may be really hard.
As I know, autistic means some person that's different than other kids.
Our team, they have some type of autism spectrum disorder, which is not very common for a swim team.
You're gonna swim if it kills me.
Coaching a special needs team versus a regular swim team, it's night and day.
I know the tics bother you. You just have to work with him a little bit. He's good though.
If you are the fastest swimmer, me and Mike will take care of who wants to be faster than us.
So many people don't give our kids a chance to do anything.
There's no resources for these children. They're just gonna send him to Walmart so he can stock. That's not what we want.
Kelvin feels frustrated about his tics. People stare at him, laugh at him. He cannot control that. He's not doing those on purpose.
One time or other, all of our kids have been ostracized. Michael goes, "Why did God make me different, Dad? What did I do wrong?" We said, "Because you're special. God made you special. A lot of normal boys can't do what you do."
Michael Phelps, he got 23 gold medals. Now bronze. You want gold, you have to work hard for this.
Take your mark. Go, Mikey! Go, Mikey!
When I'm swimming, I feel normal. It feels amazing for what I swim.
You're giving kids an opportunity. The whole thing is you can't give up on your child.
They just won the race.
Do not give up. Fast as you can go. Don't give up. Try not to give up.
Thank you, thank you. So I know now that the reason why my film has such an inspirational quality is because of how I felt
For the characters that I chose to feature in this movie. It's really simple. If you want your
audience to be swept up in a story, to be inspired by it, to be rooting for the characters, your audience has to feel empathy for those characters. And you just have to film what you know. That's my motto. You have to film what you know. So I felt tremendous empathy for these people. I have learned, and I'm about to give you my secret formula right now, that there are actually 4 important characteristics, qualities to look for when you're casting a documentary and you want to turn your film into an empathy machine. So I'm going to share these secrets with you right now. The first important quality. Okay, your character has to be willing to be on camera. They have to be open. They have to be interested in living their lives being followed by a camera. Not everybody wants to do that.
So it's very important that you find the right, and I say your characters need to be
your partners in filmmaking. It's very important that you find the right partners. The second important characteristic is characters have to have a goal. They have to be facing some sort of journey. It's pretty simple. And there have to be obstacles and conflict along the way. And finally, your characters have to have a sense of stakes. And stakes can be life and death. The more dramatic the stakes, the more dramatic your story is. Sports stories have natural stakes. It's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. So ideally, over the course of your story, these characteristics together will lead to a transformation of some sort. That's what you're hoping for, and that's what we call the character's arc. So when the swim team was first coming together, there were actually 17 families joining the team. And I knew that I couldn't feature 17 characters in the film, that that's too much, that that's not satisfying. To get into the depth that I wanted to get into and the stories that I wanted to tell, I knew I had to choose 3 or 4 characters to focus on. And so in order to figure out, who had those characteristics, I had to get to know the families on the team. And I was lucky because basically everybody had 3 out of the 4 main characteristics. They all shared the goal of wanting their kids to be successful on the team and off. They all faced various obstacles depending on the severity of their child's disability.
All of these families had stakes. Some of the stakes were actually life and death because they needed to drown-proof their kids.
Some of these kids did not know how to swim. So what I didn't know, though, was who was going to be willing to be in the film, who was going to be open, who was going to be likable, who was going to be engaging. So to figure that out, I needed, and this is kind of the holy grail of documentary filmmaking, I needed access. I needed to figure out who was going to let me in, literally, like who was going to let me into their lives. So I did a lot of phone calls and a lot of visiting, and I hoped and tried and was persistent to get these folks to open up to me so I could really choose the best characters for the story. And not everyone returned my call, and not everyone returned my email, and that's great because then you can just cross them off your list and say, okay, that's not a good documentary character. You can't make a film about someone who doesn't want to be in the film. So after a lot of this pre-interview kind of work, I chose 7 families, and I decided I was going to follow 7 of these families, ultimately narrowing down to 3 or 4. I chose 7, so I had options, and you need options. So every documentary filmmaker wants their characters to forget that the cameras are there. And in order to get to that place, you have to spend time with people. You have to develop a relationship as a filmmaker with your subjects. And what I did was I embedded myself. I didn't literally move into these folks' homes, but I was with them a lot. And I was with them a lot before we started filming, and I was with them once we started filming. And that's how we were able to get to a place where I was sitting in the bedroom of one of the film's most important characters. I think we're about ready. I was sitting in the bedroom of one of the film's most important characters during one of the most significant conversations of his life. And I'm going to show that to you right now.
Robbie, do you see yourself different from other children?
They're different.
No, do you see yourself different from the regular kids in school?
No, I act different.
You do act differently?
Yes.
How do you act different?
Just the way I do it.
The way you talk? The way you walk?
Yeah.
How do you see the other kids different?
They're not that quiet.
They're not that quiet?
Yeah.
I see. Do you know why you're different?
No.
No, you don't know?
So I don't feel like it.
You don't feel like what?
Talking about those two.
You don't want to talk about why you're different?
Yeah.
Okay, but one day you want to know the truth, right? Why you're different?
Because I don't want to know.
Okay. Robbie, do you know what autism is?
No.
No. Do you know why you are in the Special Olympics? Okay. Everyone in the Special Olympics are children with disability. So you're in there because you have a disability, and it's called autism. You have speech delay, you have trouble speaking and trouble focusing, right?
Yes.
You know how sometimes we have to help you do things? This is the reason it's going to be hard finding a job, because there are some kids that don't have that disability. They can read a book and follow the instructions. With you, we have to teach you how to do certain things. And that's why you're on the Special Olympics, because there's a lot of different kids who have disability. Are you okay with that?
Just I'm fine.
You're fine, okay. Every time I tell you something, it's because I love you, and it's because I want the best for you.
I can handle it.
You can what?
Handle it.
Handle it, I know. You listen.
I'm older now.
Yeah, you are older. What is it that you can handle?
There are a lot of things that you ever told me a lot.
You're doing very well. You know I love you, right?
I know that.
I will always be here for you. Always. Remember.
So when I first met Rosa, the mom in the scene,
she told me that she wanted to have this conversation with Robbie. He was 16 years old.
And she had never told him that he had autism. And she wanted to. So I asked her if I could film her when she was ready. And she said yes. And it took about 4 months for her to be ready. And it was about 4 months after we started filming. And at that point, we had spent enough time with one another that I was sitting with my crew within a few feet of them in Robbie's bedroom during that moment. And I really think it's one of the most intimate scenes in the film and one of the most impactful in terms of generating empathy for the characters. While we were filming this scene, there was a lot of stopping and starting. And Rosa would turn to me and she would ask, "What do I say now?" And in the moment, I
was just thinking of myself as a mom, having a moment with another mom, giving advice.
I know I wasn't putting words in her mouth. It was really just a moment between us as moms. But I know now that it's also, really indicative of the relationship that I had developed with these characters in the film. And that's the kind of relationship that you have to have as a documentary filmmaker with characters if you want to try to capture that kind of intimacy. So now I'm going to show you another character who is our second main character in the film. And his name is Kelvin.
Very dangerous. That's very dangerous. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Let's not get out that tick.
I know the ticks bother you, but you're okay. Go, 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 go! Hey, you guys are getting timed on this today.
He has two disabilities, so he's kind of balancing each other on and off. Sometimes he's getting more takes. Maybe he's more takes than he doesn't have time to do the autism thing.
Oh, you said the F word.
I thought I cursed a lot. Let's go in the water, Vincent, in the water.
Don't you ever say the F word.
Kelvin, 25-meter breaststroke, 25-meter free coming back. Okay. Swimmers on your mark. Go!
Sometimes I was feeling stressed. Sometimes I tell you I hate you.
Yeah. Are you supposed to do that?
No.
No, you're not supposed to say that.
No. No. Sometimes I say I want to kill you, but it won't be very nice. That might get me in trouble.
Yeah.
That might be
So what
right.
do you do when you get angry, Kyle?
Just do the right thing.
What is the right thing to do?
Right thing, you have to do right choice. You have to do something. If I tell someone I'm feeling angry, it means you have to use anger management.
Anger management, yes.
Something when you guys are not home, sometimes I was home by myself, sometimes I yell around the whole house, sometimes I feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're not home.
Yeah.
That's why I got out of my system when I'm feeling angry. I just don't feel I don't like stuff. I don't like when I yelling around, when I feel pissed off, when I was yelling around the whole house, sometimes make me crazy.
What kind of anger management do you do?
Sometimes it doesn't make me do anger management. Only if I tell someone feel angry, it makes me do it right away. Sometimes I feel angry, it makes me feel stressed. Sometimes I bang on tables like this.
Yeah. When you get angry,
if you get sometimes you're feeling angry.
You do what?
The stress ball thing.
Stress ball thing.
That's how you're doing stress ball.
And then what else?
What else? I can count to 10 or 30.
If you remind him to wash his hands, he gets mad. If you remind him, oh, it's time to go to bed, he gets mad. If you remind him, say, oh, the school bus is here, and he just say, you don't tell me what to do. Like this hole here. Okay, you can see from here. There's a hole behind it. And the holes behind this, and that, and this. He's like a really powerful arm and a big strength, and that's one of the holes that he made. And see, this like a very solid wood, and he just kicked the door and this the holes, and like this a punch, this a kick, and it's broken. I don't really have a strategy. Sometimes we just try to scare him, say, Calvin, we're gonna call the policeman. If we call 911 and police found you hurt anybody, you're gonna be in jail. You cannot come back home. And Calvin likes he likes a policeman, but he also understands, the jail life is not that pleasant. So he will say, please don't call police. He say, no, don't call police. Oh, the new DVD, huh?
The DVD.
What's a new DVD you ordered?
Policewoman has Angie Dickinson.
Wow, police woman?
Yep.
Whoa. Okay. So what are you gonna do now?
I gotta put what belongs to put it in the green drawer.
I'll put it in the green drawer.
Okay. I put stuff in the DVD because sometimes I don't want to break it.
Oh, okay. Calvin, did you fix the door?
I did fix the door.
What time when did you fix it?
I don't know. Maybe it was last week.
Last week? Why you want to fix it?
That's why I fixed because I punched the door. That's why I feel angry. That's why I fixed it. It's all good now.
Oh, good now. Okay. Calvin was typical developed baby. I still remember Grandpa hold his little tiny hand and walk up the stairs, and he was counting. He learning counting in Chinese with Grandpa. After he turns 2, the world changed. He lost his vocabulary. He didn't talk. He needs to pull me and scream and cry. And I couldn't understand him what his needs. And when he frustrated, he bumped his head on the wall. I didn't know what happened, and We went to different doctors. We've tried different kinds of medicines and different combination of the medicine, different dosage of the medicine.
Medication has no impact. We've seen his reduction of tics and anger through swimming.
That was a long one. Thank you for bearing with me. So I just wanted to say I've seen this movie like hundreds of times at least now. And every time I watch that scene, I get choked up. Patty chokes me up. She makes me feel for her. And I remember that when I was in the edit room, when I was deciding to put that in the film, and I was deciding to let that moment play out, and not cut it short, and it was because it affected me so deeply. And this is, I can't say this enough, you have to film what you know, and this goes for editing too, you have to edit what you know. So I just wanted to say another thing about crying, which is that all of the parents who I interviewed for this movie cried. They all cried during our interviews. And so it was an embarrassment of riches in terms of vulnerability and openness of characters. But you have to be very careful when you're editing a story with people crying. So every cry in my film happens for a reason. The first cry is Coach Mike, and you saw a bit of it in the trailer where he says, a lot of normal boys can't do what you do. By the time Patty cries, it's 15 minutes later in the film. So, and there's no crying in between. And by the time she cries, the audience understands exactly why she's crying and can empathize with her. So I just want to show you one more character. And I want to tell you that the reason why I chose these 3 characters is of the 7 families and characters that I was following, I felt like these boys' stories were the most dramatic, and they ultimately were the most transformative. They lent themselves to the inspirational message that I knew was possible with this film. So I'm going to now show you the 3rd and final character, and it's a shorter scene. This is Mikey, the son of Coach Mike and Maria.
Make sure you get the phone numbers to your
Mama,
friends.
I know everything, okay?
What do you mean you know everything? You don't know everything.
Mama, you drive me crazy about everything.
What do you mean? Is that appropriate to say that? Yes or no?
Mom, I said everything. You drive me crazy all the time.
Give me a break. Because I know you're going to forget.
I am not going to forget.
All right. And then you're going to take pictures. Make sure you take a picture of you and Sarab. Sarab's going to be there.
Oh, Mom.
What?
I said, this happens every day when I hear some crazy stuff again from you.
What crazy stuff am I saying to you?
People, pictures, everything.
You're annoyed because you didn't get to watch the show. All
no,
right.
I am not. I am not.
I
am not annoyed.
Okay. Shh. That's enough.
Millie!
What?
Elizabeth's here.
Okay, we're getting Mikey dressed. He's graduating from high school. You know, I don't know what's going to happen to him. That's a scary thought. There's no game plan. There's nothing. Senior prom. Don't talk to him.
Come on, Michael.
Why did you so like that?
It's okay, Michael.
Drop your shoulders. Drop your shoulders. Right. There you go. That's it. Relax. I talked to other parents, and everybody's talking about, oh yeah, we had this, you know, the transition meeting, and they found these schools, these private schools for their kids, and they're in, and they got the district to pay for them, and you know, these schools are like $60,000. I don't have $60,000, you know, to put Michael in these, you know, special schools that are geared for kids like him. You know, it's not fair. I didn't know about it. The district could have provided for Michael some type of education or program.
Okay, that'll look real cute. Okay?
There we go.
It's called like transitioning school. They could have paid for him to go there, but because it costs money, everything was hush-hush. They didn't say anything to us about it.
Bye,
guys.
Good time.
If somebody can learn from my mistakes, that's a blessing, because I didn't know that once you accept that diploma, you're done.
So, thank you. I love that scene. It's another intimate bedroom scene. We were in Mikey's bedroom while he was getting dressed, so that's very intimate. I love how Mikey is very, he acts like any other teenager with his mom, like basically saying, "Stop annoying me, Mom." Moms are universally annoying, right? That's why the scene starts that way, because I wanted the audience to feel like Mikey's like any other kid.
And I wanted the audience to feel empathy for him and for his family, because what follows is a story of how the school really acted badly, misled the family, and withheld information from this family.
And unfortunately is setting Mike up for failure. And he deserves to be set up for success like any other kid, really. So that's why that part is at the beginning of the scene. So you've just met the three main characters of my film, and you've heard my secret formula for how I chose them. They each, by the way, have their own journeys in the story. They have their own goals and their own arcs, and I wove those together in the arc of the film for maximum empathy effect. And thank you very much.